One of the things that we've discussed also is if you take a look at all the calendar applications out there, you're pretty much looking at a situation of brand parity. You pull off the logos and you're talking about very similar feature function.
Yeah.
Everybody's worried about their own platform and their own audience. And so, for us, it's an opportunity to say, okay, well, scheduling has kind of bled a little bit into the calendar space. And if we're going to go there, what are the differentiation points, right? The world doesn't need another calendar. It could use a tool to aggregate, and it could use an intelligent calendar that's a little bit more evolved. But how do we make a difference? How do we change the product, because it hasn't changed in thousands of years?
Yeah. Well, analytics, I think, is the near-term thing that everyone could use, and it's not that hard to do, but no one has done it.
That's right.
So I think Zobni really opened my eyes on that part of analytics of email. Because again, you're in email every single day, and you're on top of it, and you're responsive, and you think you know, but until you see those analytics and you say, oh my God, I didn't realize that these 5 people are the 80% of my time of who I'm sending email to. I think if you did the same thing to a calendar to know where you're spending your time, that would be huge.
Absolutely.
And if there are, I'm not that into this stuff, but like, who is it? Franklin is the calendar.
Franklin Planner?
Franklin Planner.
Yeah.
They have some interesting kinds of ways of analyzing what you do and thinking about what you do. And there's another, what is this metrics thing about? There's some metrics thing about getting stuff done. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's an entirely separate thing. But if you took those concepts and applied those to analyzing your calendar, then you'd say, whoa, eye-opening kinds of things.
I want to shift gears for 1 second, and again, it's a conversation we've had, and I don't want to let you think for a second that we're basing our model at all on advertising, but there's something very unique happening on the calendar, which is that when we kind of look at ad revenues, advertising, contextualized advertising, one of the things that's most interesting when we look at the spectrum of, say, a plan cast on one end, the declaration of intent, and Foursquare on the other. Well, Foursquare is, I'm here now and it's just too late. There's nothing you can really do. On the calendar, once you've put something into the calendar, you've declared your intent to be somewhere in the future, that's the greatest single opportunity for anyone to talk to you. You've got the greatest disposable income and you're about to move down the funnel to here and now, right? And so from the perspective strictly of advertising, contextual advertising, marketing, you've got a gold mine there, right? If you're able to open and unleash that data set, you're really providing something to marketers which is unique, I think, right? It's this, I'm going to be there in the future. So if you take a look at travel for a second and just kind of the process on travel, I get permission from Mark, I'm going to go travel. The next thing I do is I slot it off on my calendar, I block off some time. I may then push it out to my social network to let people know that I'm going to be in a particular city at a particular time. But then the funnel begins, right? I need airline, I need hotel, I need a car, I need a whole bunch of decisions that I'm making, and every step along the way I'm spending some money. The only people that really have visibility into that entire flow are the guys who are holding the calendar, because that's the insertion point.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
Yeah, TripIt tries to do that with travel, so that it has your airline reservation, your rental car, your hotel, your everything all in one spot. But for me, I'm a calendar guy, so I would rather go to my calendar and see there's my rental car reservation number, there's my hotel reservation, and there's my flight, because I want to be on my phone, right, and just click on the calendar and see everything.
Get it all.
Everything there.
Right.
I don't want to have to go to email and search for the vendor, the particular vendor, and find out, okay, because if I do a search on Hertz, I've got 30 of them.
Right.
And I got to figure out which one is it. It's that one, or, that kind of stuff. So TripIt tries to aggregate that data for trips in a separate application. I don't want to go to a separate application. I'd rather have it in a calendar. So, if there's a way to do that, that'd be awesome. But there are some of these things that really are the responsibility of Outlook or Google Calendar or Yahoo Calendar, right? They're not. Do you think that you can overlay these features or somehow add these prompts, or is it
I think
their
we
domain?
provided that we can build the right user base, of course. I think we can. I think that, again, a lot of these prompts and these notifications and these suggestive components are an amalgamation of different data sources. So I think we're in a good position to be able to do that.
Even as you look at Tungle now, it's an adjunct to a core calendar, right? It's at no point is it a replacement to any of the primary calendaring systems out there. And so when we talk about all of these things, again, at a very high level, I think they're modules, they're bolt-ons to what we know as kind of core calendaring. I don't think anyone here has the intention or is presumptive enough to believe that we're going to take on a Google Calendar or an IBM Notes or an iCal or what have you, right? And user bases are installed.
But
Of all the
we
things-
can enhance the experience.
Absolutely.
Of all the things we've talked about, the thing that excites me the most is analytics on how I've spent my time, and then maybe goal setting about how I want to spend my time in the future. And the calendar sort of sets these goals about, hey, you said you wanted to spend 20% of your time on this, so slot it in there, and then, or maybe it kind of graphs out how you'd like to spend your time, and maybe it's color coded or something, I don't know.
Right.
And then you start inputting specific meetings and schedules, and then you see if you're meeting your goal or not.
To me, the low-hanging fruits are analytics of your past, but also giving you tools for your future, but not just what you talked about. For example, I'm going to be meeting with Jonathan. I never met him in the past, so I don't know him, but my calendar knows I'm going to be meeting all these people. So all of a sudden, I can start looking at their Twitter feed, and I can start looking about their LinkedIn profile and all this stuff that's publicly available of Jonathan, so I get to know him before I actually meet him. So when I'm talking to him, I can know that he walked his dog yesterday and whatever happened, and I can start a conversation with him. He's going to go, oh, you actually know me a bit more. And so there's tools that we can do also on the short term that are really useful for future meetings that you may have. The other thing I think is a low-hanging fruit is everything about location. The meeting buffering. We've got locations. We know you're going to San Francisco. You're going to need a car. Maybe those, to me, is maybe a step two, the reservations and so on. But the first one is the buffers between meetings. So we're actually intelligent when you're actually going to be clicking on accept for a meeting. It says, hold on, you may not want to do that because you may need some travel time for this. And then it actually gives you suggestions. By the way, we know Jonathan is going to be free in an hour. You'll have more time. You should probably pick that one. So there's a lot of intelligence that we can bring through the location part of it.
That's great.
And also, I mean, building the aggregator of information, to me, is really, really strong. There's so much we can do from that because you've got all the sources of the calendar. Then you've got, if we start aggregating the Foursquare check-ins, we start aggregating any information that you want to put in your calendar, and we can start analyzing that. And so for us, being this source of aggregator of information, no matter where it's coming from, and providing you valuable information around that is huge. And that's around analytics, but there's a lot that goes behind capturing all this data.
Yeah.
The data leads to insight, right?
Yeah, it does. So analytics should be number one.
Absolutely.
And then prospective going forward, how you manage your time, that would be great.
Yeah.
Overall, I think you guys are really smart to do this because there are other scheduling companies out there, and I think you said the checklist is all about the same.
Yeah.
This really differentiates you and puts you in a thought leadership position.
Absolutely.
And then just because you're a thought leader and the visionary, you're going to get more than your share of the business, even though features might be the same.
Right.
So it's great. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So we've got a lot on our plate, and the other important facet to also keep our mind around is around privacy, right? And we're already pushing a bit the envelope where we're saying to people, display on a page the times that you want to make yourself available. Now we're giving you the tools to really manipulate that the way you are, so you're not exposing your calendar like people are used to free busy calendar. You're actually saying times that you're available. So we kind of already flipped it and saying, don't show the times that you're busy, show the times that you want to meet people.
Yeah.
But then we then again pushed the envelope a bit more where we said, let's create a directory. with this and allow people to join this directory. And so with that, we're surprised. We think, people would opt out of this thing or not opt in. We got 85% of our new users are joining our directory.
Wow.
It's huge. So people are saying, you know what? I'm comfortable enough with this information that I'm going to publish it. And also not only publish it, make it available and indexable by Google search and so on. And so people are doing that. And so there's other things that now we're also pushing the envelope where we're saying there are some of your events that you actually want to make public. And so, yeah, you've got the Planecast and all that, but you know what? You're in your calendar. You're going to go at Capital Growth or the thing, TechCrunch thing on Friday. You want people to know about it. Boom, you can make it public, and also you can tweet it out to people and so on. So that functionality already exists today. But the point is we're also pushing the envelope on privacy and so on. And so the challenge that we have as well is how do we get enterprises, larger, old school financial institutions and so on to start embracing this? And so it's really being embraced by the tech companies like Google. We have a shitload of users from Google. All the tech companies are using our stuff. How do we get it to the mainstream? And so I don't know if you have some thoughts on that, but because it's a different framework, right?
Yeah, it is.
We often question as we're out kind of talking to prospects whether or not this is a generational divide, cultural divide. And I'll give you an example. As we go to talk to organizations, typically what we'll see is kind of a bottom-up groundswell. Right, so you've got middle management that have adopted our product, that are comfortable with kind of the outward-facing calendar. Come and choose your time slots. Here's my availability. As you look top down, more senior executives, the C-suite, they're much less inclined to be comfortable with that kind of thing. They're still more accustomed to privacy. They're more accustomed to this kind of garden wall environment. And so it's partially our responsibility to make them comfortable with the technology, to let them understand that there's permissions, right, and that they can open or close the floodgates as much as they want. But it's something that we're dealing with on an ongoing basis. Certainly, I know you guys have dealt with your share of privacy issues. I mean, is there a comment that you can make in terms of your understanding of where we are and the way that the market is receiving that?
Well, I think the pain point is high enough that if the pain is high enough that people will do anything to solve it, and privacy is the least of their concerns when they're trying to solve a pain point. So privacy is way overdone as far as I can tell. I mean, it's a nice topic to talk about, but the reality is people generally don't care.
I think you have a unique viewpoint, because one of the things that we notice is the community here is very insular.
Yeah. Right.
And so when you talk to Valley folk, the idea of privacy is kind of it's become ridiculous, right? Yeah. We lead open, transparent lives.
Right.
You move back to kind of the Northeast, and you get a little bit of a different flavor. Because you're bi-coastal, you've got that perspective of, okay, I understand what the Valley community looks like, but I also understand what white-collar Boston
Big Blue says.
Right. Yeah, well, even me, I'm big on Facebook and Twitter and blogging and photo sharing and all that stuff. So share. Mm-hmm. Foursquare is creepy. Mm-hmm. That one, that's where I draw the line.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Because there are very, very few people that I want to know where I am all the time. I don't mind on Twitter if I say, hey, I'm at the Kenny Loggins concert, or hey, I don't mind doing that, but I do mind, because that's me opting to do that.
That's giving everybody the ability to keep tabs. Right?
When you do Foursquare, then it's like, oh shit, now I've got to remember who is following me on Foursquare. So when I do this, who's going to know that where I am?
Yeah.
So that one's a little creepy. And on Foursquare, I only accept people that my inner circle, that I really, really know. Mm-hmm. I have hundreds and hundreds of Foursquare invitations that I just no.
You ignore,
No.
But let's use Facebook as an example. Sorry to cut off there. You've got a family. I see you, right? Pictures of your family on Facebook. You've got some very personal things. Are you accepting business contacts there?
Absolutely.
You are. Yeah. And so you're open in that way.
Yeah.
So it's really the question of where am I now?